Are you a true sports fan? Cricket, football, tennis, Olympic, kabaddi. You name it and you get it on Sports Today. Welcome to an all-new channel. Your one-stop shop for everything from the world of sports. You just can't miss this.
Absolutely, and you can't miss anything about the ongoing India versus Australia series. 2-1 it is, and we've got a champion here, which is Deep, who predicted that. I'm going to come to you, Pragyan, for that. But anyway, they said it was a dead rubber, but nothing of that looked like it. The series goes in India's favor, but having said that, Australia come all guns blazing at India with a victory of 12 runs. I will go back to my expert. I'm joined by Bodada and, of course, Pragyan Ojha. Pragyan, I will start with you. Good evening to both of you. I'll start with you. What did you make of the match, and especially Wade's innings against India and his love story? And then we quickly shift towards India and some chinks in the armor.
Yeah, the love story is okay. I understand that. But what was the love story with the umpires and the broadcasters there? It was a clear LBW. I don't know what happened, but Virat Kohli was clear that, he was going for the referral. And it is not his mistake. They have played the replay on the screen. So I think it was clearly out. And then after that, he put on around 30 runs. So I think this kind of technical glitches are not expected in such high intensity games. I don't know what exactly happened, but when I looked at Virat Kohli's reaction, he was thinking that he's well within the time, but I don't know what happened, and the way Wade was batting, nothing I'm taking away from him, but that was a crucial wicket then.
That's an interesting point that you've touched on, Burida. He tweeted about it also, that the DRS is supposed to be helping the players that's how you use technology, but a bit of a glitch there.
Yeah, I also thought that. I don't know exactly, like Pragyan, none of us know exactly what happened. If India was late or if it was because of technology. If it was because of technology, it was a big letdown. And let me also add to that, your eventual margin of defeat was 12 runs. How many times did the umpire not give a wide? I thought 4 I counted. 4 wides I genuinely counted. Now 4 wides means 4 balls. So 4 runs to your tally and 4 extra balls. So you add those 4 balls, you get the 8 runs. When you are doing such critical matches, these things, frankly, when you lose, you tend to think, okay, yaar, theek hai yaar, jeet gaya series 2-1. But when you watch, Virat Kohli moved and it's fine. But it was outside even the outer channel. It was quite shocking. It stood out for me. Pragyan has already made my point number 1, and this was my point number 2, that if you add those 4 extra wides, the complexion of the game is different.
Yeah. And we've got a very interesting point that has come up.
The funniest part is, if this happens in India, the whole world will be criticizing the Indian umpires. But this was a big mistake. Even Virat was shocked. I saw the last one. I remember that very clearly. He just moved one step to his offside, and then the wide was not given. That was, I felt these things really, really matter. They change the game. These are like, slow poison kind of a thing, which you don't feel it immediately, but they can literally change everything.
Yeah. So couple of things that have caught the eye for sure in that particular thing. Also, the replay was shown before India could take the DRS, and that's the reason why the DRS was not allowed, Burida?
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely think that was the reason. That's why Pragyan called it a technical glitch, because you don't do that. You've got to give them the 15 seconds and then call for the replay on the giant screen, which the players will see when the DRS is being reviewed. I thought it was played out. And I tried to hear commentary at that point in time. Neither of the two commentators were able to explain. I think Glenn McGrath was there and somebody else was commentating in English. I even tried to flip in Hindi. They weren't able to explain. So I wanted to see if it was ground commentary or studio commentary. But I thought it was a technical glitch. And if it was, So that's point number one. And what Pragyan said about white balls, I can point out four. Andrew tied three, and one was one over last ball. Hardik and Virat were at the crease. They had already gotten some 14, 15 runs, and that ball wide means another four. These things are unpardonable when you're playing international cricket of the highest standard at this level. So ICC needs to look at it. The Australian umpires just did Australia a bit of a gift.
That's exactly what is happening in the comment section also. We've got Sports Addiction asking umpires playing for Australia, question mark. Well, there's also the thing about India versus Australia. Again, we were talking about this morning. What is an India versus Australia without a controversy? And we were actually looking forward to it not being as friendly as it has become.
Yes, you like competition, you like those tight games, but not with the technology, not with the umpires. These are the things, they have to be perfect. That's the reason we have been using technology. And why we have DRS, it's not about any technical glitch. It's about, if the umpires are there, they should not be making any mistake. So we are here to rectify those errors which happen at the ground, in the middle. It is very difficult for an umpire to judge few things. So to rectify that, you have the DRS or maybe those sneakometers, and you use those technology. But if having all that, you have these kind of glitches, then what's the point?
Yeah, Burida?
When we are doing no ball referrals with umpires, I know people will say, then why have umpires? But trust me, if there are these kind of glitches, then you think, boss, the third umpire is actually taking a look at that wide. Now, if it's outside the channel, if it's such glaring, and if it have an impacts on a match, then you call that. Because you do not let a match get influenced by umpiring howlers of 3 or 4 times. And it's happened here. So my point is, will the ICC, if you're otherwise, then don't review the front foot rule. You are reviewing the front foot rule, and that cost India 30 runs because of Glenn Maxwell. Otherwise, it wasn't called a no ball, by the way. It wasn't called a no ball. He was out. Moses Henriques had entered the ground, and Glenn Maxwell was still standing there. There was a muddle, and then it was called. If you're calling that, then you call that wide also. Don't stop halfway. You want to make the game error-free. Somebody will come and tell me, oh, then why have umpires? Boss, then why have umpires for no balls also? Don't stop halfway, because you want the game not to be marred by such decision making, which I thought robbed India of a win today.
Yeah, yeah. Also, let's talk about the
but
Indian
Boria,
side. Yes.
but Boria, this is the technical failure that we're talking about. Saying that the Indian team that we've seen in past few years, this is not the same Indian team. The fielding that we've seen in this series was not up to the mark. And I'll tell you one interesting point. I know Australians have bowled no balls, have bowled wides, but if you look at the effort that they put, all the fast bowlers, they are almost behind the crease, the bowling crease. At least just the toe is touching the crease consistently. So they're making an effort where they're not bowling the no ball, because they know now in this format, and particularly the new rules, the no ball is very important. You're giving one extra run, it's a free hit, so the game can change. So this is something I think we need to understand, because we cannot see our spinners bowling no ball on a consistent basis.
Ridhima, I agree with Pragyan. I absolutely agree with Pragyan. And if you see, I tweeted, Yuzvendra Chahal cannot do this. Point taken. Yuzvendra Chahal, messes up his run-up, bowls these, and he's not bowling the first time. If you see every fourth, fifth game, he bowls a no ball. For someone who runs in 2 steps, this is just nonsense. Someone needs to talk to Bharat Arun. This is his job. He needs to talk to Yuzvendra Chahal that you cannot do this. And this is silly. According to me, this is silly. Having said that, Andrew Ty did this the last game. And you saw what happened. That shot by KL Rahul changed the game. And I said that. Yeah. I said it in commentary. I said, look, one such no ball free hit changes a whole game. It shifts momentum, and that costs you. Yuzvendra Chahal and Pragyan is 100% right. As a spinner, it is near criminal to be doing this.
Yeah, yeah. Also, spinners in general too short again, Pragyan.
No, I'll tell you, I was seeing it very closely. You look at the line. See, anybody can come and tell me, that because it was 186, their bowlers were attacking because they knew they wanted wickets. But if you look at their line, they were bowling on stumps. And every time they bowl, they're bowling to their field. But if you look at our bowlers, we were bowling both the sides. Once you start bowling on both the sides, giving runs on both the sides, it becomes very difficult for the best of the fielding team to protect those runs. You see, both our spinners were giving runs on both the sides. But if you look at Australian spinners, they were bowling on stumps. And every time, look at that LBW, this guy, Shreyas
Shreyas.
Iyer, everything on the stump.
Yeah.
So, let it be any format to get the best batsman out or anybody out, matter of fact, you have to attack the stumps. Then bowl to your field. If you are trying to bowl away, then bowl, keep a field and bowl. Look at the way Virat got out. That was a plan. They had a deep point.
Yeah.
Andrew Taylor was bowling slower ones outside off stump. He wasn't bowling slower one on the stump, having that deep point. So we need to, there are small things that we need to address because we are looking at the World Cup. This series we won, but when you're looking at the World Cup, these small things can cost you big games.
Absolutely. And you touched upon a certain point that I'd like to get back because this has become like the story of the ODI as well as the T20, which is the dropped catches. I'll come to you for that, Buryada. We also have a question from John Bright saying, will the drop catches affect big time in test matches?
I just tweeted that. Check with the Sports Today link saying, boss, test matches, if you drop such at slips against an Australia and a batsman goes on to get. Imagine Steve Smith dropped at slip. He'll get 100. He will get
Yeah.
100. Steve Smith is that good, or a Manas Labuschagne is that good. He'll convert it into 100. You can't do that. And Yuzvendra Chahal dropping one at third man. And by the way, the broadcaster actually showed it. The ball gets a dropped catch, next ball goes either for a boundary or a six. And it's happened three
Yeah,
times today. So Glenn Maxwell gets dropped, goes for a six. Gets dropped here, point, goes for a third, cover boundary. So each time, what are you talking then? You're talking 6 plus 6 plus 6, 18 runs, and you're talking three drop catches, which have resulted in three more runs, 1-1-1. So you are giving away 15 to 20 extra runs because of those glaring errors. And Deepak Chahar was a regulation dolly. Yuzvendra Chahal was a regulation dolly. So you are not talking about catches where Sanju Samson was having to fly like the way he did and
Yeah.
stop a ball. No, it was a regulation catch, for God's sake. Take that. I mean, and fielding, what do? You keep practicing. So R. Sridhar, who is a very, very dear friend and a solid taskmaster, Shri, your job is cut out, my friend. You've got to get this fielding team in order before the four test matches and during the four test matches. You cannot keep messing around with the ball on the field and keep dropping catches.
Yep. Yep. Also, not just India, by the way. There were a lot of glitches from the Australian fielders as
Yeah.
well, Pragyan.
Yeah.
yes, it was. But see, as an Indian, I would like, this is the champion team. I would like them to improve. And we had a brilliant chance of beating these guys 3-0. It was not like a one-sided game. It was a brilliant game. Had that wicket come to us, we're talking about Matthew Wade and then Maxwell. The game, it would have been a different situation altogether. But saying that, I have another point, for bowlers, it's becoming difficult and difficult, and especially talking about the switch hit. That is something they need to address because, when you're playing a switch hit, you're playing like a left hand. If a right hander is playing, or if it's the vice versa. So, either they have to call it a dead ball because, the bowler has nothing. He's like, he's totally under pressure. See, all the rules are against him, and now batsman is playing a switch hit where he cannot keep a field. Either you call it a dead ball or you tell you have to do something about it. Then this must be addressed. That's what I feel. Because every time we are progressing, there's nothing for the bowlers. It's totally drifted away from the bowlers. Bowlers have very little to say in the game
Yeah.
unless the wicket does something for them.
Yeah. And no, the spotlight has to be back, especially, a couple of bowlers that we've had and have outshone everybody in the match so far, Natarajan being an example. But coming to the batting side of India, Gurada, 4 and 5 number position, you think Shreyas and Samson have done enough to sort of seize that?
No, absolutely not. In fact, if you really see, 4 and 5 have cost you the game today, cost you the game
Yeah.
in the ODIs, because it's those two. I mean, Sanju Samson, I keep talking about it. What is talent without performance? It's zero. And Sanju Samson, someone needs to give him a rap on his knuckles and say, boss, calm down. This is an Indian team. Huh? You don't get these opportunities come freely. And yes, that one save tells you how much talent you have on the field. That one shot that you played tells us how much talent you have with the bat. For God's sake, go there and convert. 10 ball 15, 20 ball 23, and today what? 10. 5 ball 10 or 9 ball 10. Good enough. Not good enough at number 4. You're batting at number 4, for God's sake, for India. You mean to say you've got to control that game. Steve Smith does that for Australia. If you go and check, Owen Morgan does that for England. If you go and check top sides, Faf du Plessis does that for South Africa. They win games. If Sanju Samson has to bat there, and I don't know if I should say this, I think he has a problem with his mind. I think he's a bit, how do I put it? Is he not thinking on his feet? Is he dumb? Is he what? Because you cannot keep making the same mistakes. Someone needs to tell him that you've got to also play with the mind. Because you look at his shots, he will dance down the track, play the same shot to the spinner. It'll be either long off or long on, and he'll get out. Hare? It's getting way too much predictable. And this is not here. It's in the IPL. It's before that. It's now. So what is this with this fellow? It's a pattern. It's a pattern. And if it's a pattern, you address that. Sanju Samson has to be talked to by Ravi Shastri. That's his job, Ravi Shastri. It's not his job to, after the team wins, to come down and celebrate with the boys. That everybody can do. Ravi Shastri, as the head coach of Team India, has to speak to Sanju Samson and tell him, boss, make the most of this. A Surya Kumar Yadav is sitting in Bombay, cooling his heels, for God's sake. And these guys are playing there. And Ishan Kishan is cooling his heels and wondering, what more do I do to get an opportunity for Team India? And Manish Pandey is sitting out. What do you mean, Sanju Samson, you will waste your opportunities like this?
Yeah. No, all points very well said. Again, this is a question which Omkar Sati is asking you. Number 4-5 problem in ODI and T20s. ODI, we need someone at the number who can make hundreds. Another T20, we need someone who can hit at will anytime. When do we get that? Is the question that Omkar is asking.
See, at will, someone who can hit, we already have Hardik Pandya, and if Ravi Jadeja is ready, we have got these two guys for that particular job. They are doing brilliantly, but we need someone like, as Boryada was saying, I was listening, for England, there is On Morgan, for Australia, Steve Smith, for South Africa, they have Faf. So we want someone who can play like them, like Virat Kohli. So Virat Kohli always plays like an anchor and then he accelerates. So we need someone like him to be there so that there will be less pressure on Virat. So, we need to have someone there. And as rightly Boryada said, Surya Kumar Yadav is waiting, Ishan Kishan is waiting, Rishabh Pant is waiting. So, these guys, they need to make the most out of it, because if you get runs in this tour, as I said, when you're touring abroad and you get those runs, then you kind of cement your place. Because when you come back to India, you will definitely get those runs because it is your home country, the soil. So when you get runs on difficult tracks, then it gives you a lot of confidence. So that's why this tour is very important.
I also want to make this point. When Rohit Sharma comes back, we know it is Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul at the top. Have we really thought how to use Shikhar Dhawan? If we have thought, then today was an inconsequential in that sense. Every match is important when you don India colours, make no mistake. But then, if you are unhappy with something, would you want to try Mayank at the top and get Shikhar there? Because when Rohit Sharma comes back, you know this is going to happen. It's not as if it's rocket science. You know that come January, Rohit Sharma's there. And once Rohit Sharma is there, it has to be Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. Nobody else. Shikhar Dhawan, however much you scored 200s in the IPL, you don't make that spot. It has to be Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul at this point in time. But Shikhar in this form, is he good enough at 4? Can he play 4? Rahul plays 5 in ODIs. Can Shikhar play 4? Is there a combo there? So you've got to, look, Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun need not go and teach these guys how to bat and bowl. They know that. They 100%. The Pulela Gopichand does not need to teach PV Sindhu how to score a smash. She knows that better than Pulela Gopichand at this point. So does Virat Kohli, or for that matter, Shikhar Dhawan, or anybody than the coaching staff. What is the job of the coaching staff? The job of the coaching staff is to fine tune this. And Ravi is an astute reader of the game. This is his job. What's the combo? For the longest time, you messed around with that number 4. You messed around. Now you take that blame. That for the 2019 World Cup, you messed around with the number 4, and that's where the World Cup was lost. Now don't mess around with the number 4 again, leading up to the 2021 World Cup. Get it sorted, and sorted in the next 3-4 months, because you have a chance of winning the World Cup. You have the team, you have the potential, you have the players, and it's in India. So better get it right, because that's where your legacy will be scripted.
Yeah. Also, this question was asked in the preview as well, and the question was that with the options that we have for our openers, uh, who do you choose in the combination? So this is going to be a Rohit, KL Rahul, Shikhar Dhawan, and remember, Pragyan, you kept the three of them together.
Yes,
You kept
yes,
Rahul and Dhawan.
I even thought about it. See, Shikhar Dhawan has never batted in the middle. So if Shikhar is consistent and he's been getting those runs for you, so maybe you can have Rohit and Shikhar open, and then maybe number 4 you can have Rahul, because Rahul is a versatile batsman. He can
Correct?
play. He has already played.
Correct?
That's what you can do. You can try that, but never try a Shikhar Dhawan in the middle order, because he's never played there, and it'll be a very alien condition for him, in alien situation for him.
And
So
the other
if
thing that
you
is going in
yeah,
Pragyan's favor, Ridhima, is Shikhar Dhawan in ICC tournaments. Now, when
Yeah.
you
yes,
think
yes,
of the stage and you think, okay, this man scores at will in ICC tournaments, gets man of the tournament awards, man of the match awards, how the hell do you drop him? So you
But then,
think now. You think
but then,
now what to do.
sir, there's also a semi-final where Shikhar Dhawan. Oh, like he was hurt. Sorry, my bad. He was hurt.
yeah,
He was hurt.
Even in the last World Cup, it was Dhawan's 100, and then he got
Yeah,
injured. If you think
yeah,
Champions Trophy 13, Dhawan. In World
yeah,
Cup 15, Dhawan. 19 Australia game, Oval, Dhawan. So him in Champions Trophy and World Cups, he's just
yeah.
in a superhuman mode. So if you got someone like that for ICC tournaments, you've got to play him. Now, how do you do that is your call as team management. So Pragyan just gave an option. Is that an option? Is Virat at 4 an option? Virat with the chase? If that's an option with Rahul 3, we are not saying what, but you get it right for God's sake. Do not then go and play a Rishabh Pant at 4 or a Dinesh Karthik at 4 and mess it up like you did in Manchester. Because this time on home soil, you mess it up, your job goes. And I'm saying it on record, believe me, if you do not win another World Cup, all these jobs are on the line, including Virat Kohli's. Virat Kohli messes up another World Cup, the clamor will grow, because people, the fans want a World Cup, and they deserve it. You've got the team. You've got the team. You've won bilateral contests. You've got to cross the hurdle of a semi-final and a final. So a Virat Kohli, a Ravi Shastri, and that team management have everything going in their favor. Get it right. Because unless you win a World Cup, and I keep saying it, you've got to win World Cups for God's sake. Sachin Tendulkar's career is incomplete without that 2011 World Cup win. 6 World Cups, 22 years without a World Cup win. He's not the greatest player. You've got to believe that. You've got to win. That's why a Diego Maradona is the greatest.
We've got a question for you, Pragyan, and every point that is mentioned there. In fact, this morning also we had a question: Would you score? Would you go with 10,000 Test runs or a World Cup? And Pragyan chose the World Cup. We've got Arun Kumar saying, guys, is the consistency of Dhawan hurting India? Scoring once in 3 matches is bad for an experienced guy. Dot dot dot.
He scored
Pragyan.
twice.
see, See, it's like, if you start pinpointing everything, then it is very unfair. We have won the series.
Yeah,
We are discussing
World Cup.
about this game, but we won the series. We've beaten them, Australians, after losing the ODI. After losing, you have just hardly 1 or 2 days gap, and then again you're playing a T20, and then again you're winning it. It's a brilliant statement.
Victory.
So
Yeah,
you can't be harsh on your players. Yes, you have to scrutinize at times. You have to see how they're performing or not, but at the same time you have to evaluate the way Indian team has done. They have won this series no matter what. If Australia wins this game, but the cup comes to comes home,
But
and
still,
then they're moving on to, yeah, they're moving on to the test series. So it's a boost for them, winning a tournament and going for another tournament. It is always a boost. So let's remember that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hope that answers Arun's question. You got Ayush Mishra saying, well, they're dissecting the match that we've had. So, how can a player of Shreyas Iyer's caliber miss Gully the fourth time in an international career? Borila.
uh, come again with the question. What was the question? Fourth time.
How can, yeah, fourth time in the international career. How can he miss a
Okay,
googly?
there's an audio glitch going on at my end. Uh,
Pragyan, would you
but
like to take it?
I'll
yes,
take it.
Norman,
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
Pragyan,
take
take
it.
that.
Hi, Norman.
yeah,
So I'll
Hello,
tell you.
everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
of course we can. Tell us
I'll
more.
tell you. Yes, we all are good. I was just trying to explain about Shreyas Iyer getting out fourth time in his international career to googly or a leg spinner. See, now if you see, most of the teams they have leg spinners. So, so when you get out to them, so suddenly everybody started talking about Virat Kohli, getting out to leg spin. But when you're facing leg spinners more than any other bowlers, so it is bound that you get out to them, isn't it? Some bowler has to get you out. So when you're playing leg spinners more, so it happens. Yes, I can understand at times, uh, the number shows that you're weak to certain bowlers, but if you look at these guys, they've never been in their entire career. You see in domestic cricket, see, Shreyas Iyer's international career is not that, it's just started. It's got
Yeah,
long way to go. But if you look at, if you have to understand if he is comfortable against spin or not, you look at his domestic career. He's been brilliant against spinners. So I think just taking the numbers out and then discussing about them, it doesn't give you the real picture.
it's not just. I agree. Congratulations, Norman. Welcome to the show. And I mean, you guys have gotten into momentum just before the big test. Can you hear me?
The reality is, I
Yeah,
certainly can. The reality is, you've won 2-1. Okay, we won 2-1 in the ODI, won 2-1 in the T20. It wasn't a clean sweep or a whitewash or anything, which I think is fantastic. And Pragyan is right. We shouldn't be too harsh on the Indian players. Actually, Kohli batted fantastically. I think he
yeah,
batted
Yes,
wonderfully. It was a great spectacle. Yet again, we had a crowd. We didn't have the 46,000 we expected. We actually had 30,800 odd. I looked around. I couldn't see a space anywhere. I'm confused where they got their totals from. I mean that. Anyway, the reality is India still played very well. Australia had more things go their way today. Um, I wouldn't be bashing India in terms of the way they played. Pragyan's right. They've won 2-1. Maybe they eased off the pedal a little bit. We all thought Kohli would get 100, and he didn't, which
yeah.
was unfortunate. But he still got what did he get? 85? Was it 85?
Yeah, 84.
It's like 85.
84, 84.
84.
That's amazing. How could you criticise Kohli when he got 84? That's fantastic. The man is still the leading T20 run scorer. He's never going to be beaten, as far as I'm concerned. You've got a champion player. You won the series. Maybe you took the foot off the pedal a little bit, but you won, and it's so impressive. Again, the crowd was 30 odd thousand people. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh!
how was that? What was the ambience like?
Oh, it was brilliant. The colour, the variations in the shirts. Now I'm actually in the car. I've gone to the car because it's quieter. Because they're still out here partying. They're partying out here. If I open the door, it'll be like this. I'll open the door just to tell you. It's not as bad sounding as it was before. But it has been really quite loud. and they're there enjoying themselves. They're a little bit more subdued than perhaps I thought they would be, but there are more Indians here than there are in the whole of Kolkata, I think, at the moment, Boria. If you open the doors, you'd see no one on the streets. They're all here. Seriously. I'm very, very satisfied with the series all round as an Australian, but as a spectator of cricket. I'll give you a quick. Today, I hosted a session with Jeff Thompson and Doug Walters, two legends of the game. I had a good chat to them. Jeff Thompson is someone who's quite critical in general. He was so glowing about Kohli. He loves his character. He talked endlessly about that. I'm going to provide you with the detail of that today, Boria, if you like. Some tidbits from Jeff Thompson and Doug Walters. They were fantastic. They were brilliant. And they were a huge Kohli supporter. Huge. And I'm very impressed with it because Jeff Thompson's not easy to please. I can assure you.
Norman, two gentlemen today were not in favor of Virat Kohli.
Two gentlemen. Okay. Well, I'm not really a gentleman. So there's two other people online. So both of you are not very happy with Kohli today?
See, in cricket we call everyone gentlemen. So those two umpires were not in favor of Virat Kohli. They messed it up.
That's okay. I've heard your conversation earlier. I'm very, very happy with the way they played. They lost, but they didn't lose horrifically. They could easily have won the match.
No, see, I think Norman is absolutely right. Pragyan was making the point, Norman, that India could have won had those wides been called. They would have gotten the extra balls and Virat would have closed out the game. That's what Pragyan is trying to say. Let's make one thing clear here. All we are saying because we wanted a 3-0, this team is able to do a 3-0. That's what we were saying. An Indian team goes to Australia, loses 2 ODIs, then comes back and wins a T20 series. This is fantastic. Taken. This is
that too, without Rohit Sharma in the white ball.
And you did not play Bumrah. You did not play Jassy Bumrah in a single game.
Mohammad Shami.
In the T20s. And the second thing I want to say, I think Virat Kohli is the best ever white ball chaser of all time, period. No one, not even my friend Tendulkar, comes close in a chase. You've got to give it to this man. 85 average. 85. Tendulkar in 1998 is perhaps better, but that in 98. Other than 98 Tendulkar, I don't think I've seen anyone in cricket chase like this man. I mean, for God's sake, he has an average of 85 in a run chase in a T20 match. If that is not supernatural and superhuman, I don't know what is.
I'm learning how to put my finger up now. The fact is that there was a Kohli chant, a melodic, that's the term for it. The melody of Kohli throughout the stadium was beautiful. It was almost a chant of Kohli. It came from everywhere. Even the members stand was calling out Kohli. It was the most beautiful moment. I'm not sure whether you captured that on television, but there was this Kohli. It was right out of the lily. It was beautiful. He is adored here. Absolutely adored.
See how things have changed over the years.
Norman, I don't think Ridhiva has heard that song. I mean,
you must see that. You must see that.
You must.
Yeah.
WSG, the
Packer Babylon
song. The just goes listen to the Packer start song, the Lily Marsh, that one. Go listen to that song. You will find it on YouTube. Just check Kerry Packer, Lily's song. You will get it. Exactly what Norman just said. You will get goosebumps. That's the start of colored clothing in cricket. Oh man, that is something.
Oh, love it. I'm going to try and do a bit of editing with Jeff. I had so much fun today. Jeff Thompson, Doug Walters, they both had a few beers and a few gins, but they were electric. They were so much fun. We had a guy there who was a vice chancellor of a university, and he was being farewelled. And this lovely guy called Rupesh Singh, who I have to introduce you to, he has something like 12 campuses in Australia with Indian students flooded there. Amazing guy. He actually bought the print of Tendulkar signed at an auction I had 5 years ago. It was worth 25,000. Magnificent. Rubish is a lovely bloke. Anyway, we had so much fun. It was the best day, and we talked about Indian cricket to death. And Kohli, Jeff Thompson, I think he's a bit in love with him. I think there's something going. There's a man crush. A man crush is what's going on there. Do you know what a man crush is?
Me?
A man loving a man's cricket play.
No, I understand that.
A man crush.
If you say that once again, it's breaking news tomorrow.
But in this conversation, I loved one thing. You know, it started from Lily, and now it's Kohli.
It is. It's the same melody. It was beautiful. I might even try to get it recorded. Now, Rajul Sharma's recorded the song, as you probably heard. Have you heard of his song? He has a song.
I have.
I think it's my turn to do a Kohli. I need some dancing girls behind me, maybe a blonde wig, and then I'll do it myself. I'm happy to do it. Bore, will you join me?
Thank you so much,
Will you be a part of my song?
No,
for sure we will.
Ridhima will choreograph it. Don't worry.
But thank you so much for joining in, Norman. Thanks a lot. Thank you for saying such kind words and happy to Australia. Very well deserved it. Very well deserved. Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure.
Yep. Coming back to Kohli, he is quite the chase master, and there's a reason why he's called the chase master. And Boris, you truly underlined that. What about you, Pragyan, about Virat Kohli and the way he played today?
Just brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Not today. Last game as well. You know, the show was taken away by Nathu and Shreyas Iyer and Hardik. But if you look at the way Virat gave that start, the stage was set because of Virat's batting. You know, last game nobody spoke about Virat, but you know, that's how he is. He's become so consistent now. People talk about when Virat fails, not when he gets 100 or a brilliant knock. You know, that's a normal. Everybody says Virat has to get it. Yeah, it's a given thing.
All right, very quickly, we've got a question here. John Bright to Pragyan. Pragyan, considering the World Cup is at home, will Nattu get a chance to play in the playing 11?
Of course.
Yes, Natarajan, yes, he's making all the right noise, but I won't say like for sure, but he's making the right noise to be in that mix. And definitely, you know, we will see how he's going to play in the next few months, and you know how he shapes up, because we also have a Bhuvi who's going to come back. We have a Bumrah, so we'll see how things happen. You know, it's a long way to go, but he is making the right kind of noise to be in that team.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. ODI is done and dusted. T20 is done and dusted. Now we're heading towards that place that Burida is rolling his eyes because he's really, really looking forward to that. What are you really looking forward to at the Border Gavaskar Trophy? What is that one thing that? Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this, but every maiden over is a story. Every dot ball is a story, and that's only possible in red ball Test cricket. You know, if you ask me, I will go and watch Test match cricket anywhere, any part of the world ahead of any World Cup, any whatever red ball, white ball game, because that's where legacies are scripted. Now you have watched. Forget Pragyan. Pragyan will say Test cricket. You as a fan, as a host, you have watched a lot of white ball. Close your eyes and tell me one innings, T20 innings. It doesn't come. It's a blur because you hit four, sixes, highlights, etc. Close your eyes and think Test match cricket. If I close my eyes and start thinking Virat Kohli Test match cricket, I'll tell 100 after another 100. 100. That's where legacies. You become great. You become the greatest. Why is Sachin Tendulkar the greatest? Because he's done that in Test cricket. That's where legacies are scripted. I would want Virat Kohli, who is, according to me, the greatest of the current generation, to get 100 in Adelaide before he comes back. Mark that series. Put your imprint there. Yes, you are special in white ball. You are the greatest in white ball. But you are who you are because you've got 300s in England, 400s in Australia last time. You bat when in Test match cricket against 4 slips and 3 whatever, and you get hundreds. That's what, sorry to be sexist. That's what the manliness and the masculinity that you associate with the sport, it comes there. I mean, a Jeff Thompson, and in this case, Mitchell Stark at 145, 150 with 4 slips, and Tim Payne sledging Virat Kohli, and Virat Kohli gives it back. That's what it is. And it's not real, it's real. It's
It's
one
real.
ball. That's what test match cricket, and that's the greatest sport that humankind could have ever invented. That's what I'm waiting to see.
And and the
Oh, I
greatest
love it.
thing about red ball cricket is, in white ball cricket, let it be ODI or T20, you can hide your weaknesses because it's a limited over game. But in Test cricket, you can never hide your weaknesses. They will get hold of it. So you have to be the best. If you have to prolong your career in Test, how much of a runs you get in white ball cricket, and somebody gets in red ball cricket, he is treated differently. That's why Test cricket. And the way Boriada is narrating, I feel,
Yeah,
Michael Holding
I
and
feel
Boriada should be commenting pink ball test first day. Michael Holding and Boriada, and Virat Kohli comes into bat. I think Michael Holding has to keep quiet at times.
no, I feel it should be cut as a piece and played as a promo for any test match that is played across the world, starting from here. I think it was such a beautiful narrative. But thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for joining in. Like I said, T20 Zodiac is dusted. We are headed towards the longest format of the game, and also the favorite of most cricket lovers. So you don't want to miss that, and especially stay tuned to Sports Today, because tomorrow we have two very special shows coming up just before we binge watch the test cricket. So you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned to our Sports Today channels, especially our social media channels, for the updates to know when and where you need to log in. Thank you so much for